3, 2, 1.
Last time, Chianti gave us vineyards, castles, and roads that looked almost too perfect to be real. Welcome back to 10 Days in Tuscany. Today, Tuscany changes the mood completely. We're leaving our quiet countryside home and heading south to Siena, a city where the Middle Ages seem to have simply refused to leave. Siena reveals itself slowly. First, a church above the rooftops, then steep stone streets, narrow passages, and little squares full of everyday life. This is not a city you understand from a map. You understand it by walking, taking the wrong turn, and discovering that the wrong turn is usually the best one. Our first proper stop is Piazza Salimbeni. It's smaller and quieter than Siena's famous main square, but it immediately sets the tone. Stone palaces, perfect symmetry, and a bank headquarters that looks more like a medieval fortress than an office. One practical tip: leave the car outside the historic center. Siena was made for walking, but bring comfortable shoes because this city apparently has a personal problem with flat streets. Keep following the slope, and Siena suddenly starts pulling you towards its center. One last arch, one more narrow street, and then the city opens into a space that feels completely unexpected. And now this is Piazza del Campo, Siena's enormous shell-shaped main square, and easily one of the most memorable public spaces in Italy. The whole square slopes gently towards Palazzo Pubblico, almost like a giant outdoor theater. Twice every summer, this peaceful place becomes a stage for the Palio, Siena's legendary bareback horse race. The riders represent the city's historic Contrade, neighborhoods with their own colors, symbols, and rivalries that are still taken very seriously. In the center, Fonte Gaia means fountain of joy, celebrating the arrival of water here during the Middle Ages. The sculptures you see today are replicas, while the fragile originals are protected inside a museum. My advice? Don't rush through. Sit down for a few minutes, watch the square change around you, and then follow the streets leading away from it. In Siena, every arch and every flag seems to belong to a different story. And from above, the city becomes even more impressive. From the air, Siena finally reveals its full shape, a maze of terracotta roofs, towers, churches, and streets wrapped around the hills. Nothing here feels planned in a modern way, and that is exactly why it looks so beautiful. The city seems to grow naturally out of the landscape, with one narrow street flowing into another and every tower competing for a place on the skyline. From up here, even the busiest streets disappear into the rooftops, and Siena suddenly feels less like a city and more like one enormous medieval work of art. And now we reach Siena's most spectacular building, the Duomo. The first thing you notice is the black and white marble, but the closer you get, the more details appear. Statues, columns, arches, mosaics, and carvings covering almost every part of the facade. It feels less like one building and more like someone decided to turn an entire wall into a work of art. Here's a fun fact. Medieval Siena once planned to expand this cathedral into one of the largest in Europe. The project was abandoned after the Black Death and serious construction problems, leaving behind the unfinished structure known as the Duomo Nuovo. Even without that enormous extension, the cathedral is already one of the most unforgettable sights in Tuscany. Before leaving the cathedral, take a moment to look back. Even the side streets around the Duomo come with dramatic staircases, striped marble walls, and views across Siena's rooftops. This city really refuses to have a boring angle. And once you walk away from the famous landmarks, Siena becomes even more interesting. These flags are not random decorations. The city is divided into 17 historic contrade, neighborhoods with their own colors, symbols, traditions, and very serious local pride. We're now walking through the territory of the Orcia, or Goose Contrade. During Palio season, the streets fill with flags, dinners, celebrations, and enough neighborhood rivalry to make modern football fans look surprisingly calm. This is the side of Siena we enjoyed most: quiet passages, laundry above the streets, tiny cafes, and medieval arches that make an ordinary walk feel like part of a film set. But beyond the last rooftops, Tuscany is about to change completely. And just like that, Siena disappears behind us, and Tuscany opens into the Crete Senesi, a landscape of rolling clay hills, pale ridges, winding roads, and those perfectly placed cypress trees that look almost designed for a movie. The name literally means the Sienese clays, and this land has been shaped for centuries by erosion, creating dramatic gullies and smooth, wave-like fields that change color with every season. And while we're floating over all this beauty, here's your official Travel Karma reminder. Leave a comment, hit like, and subscribe. It genuinely helps our little channel grow, and according to absolutely no scientific research, gives you +1 in karma. This is why driving through Tuscany matters. The road between the famous towns is not empty space. Sometimes it becomes the most unforgettable part of the day. Our next stop is Petroio, a tiny medieval village in the municipality of Contrade, and the kind of place you would probably never discover without a car. The streets spiral around the hill, with stone houses, old wooden doors, narrow arches, and almost no tourists. After the crowds of Siena, it felt like Tuscany had suddenly turned the volume down. We stayed at Palazzo Brandano, a historic palazzo converted into a small hotel, and it paid around €130 for 3 people per night. Petroio is also known for terracotta, a craft practiced here for centuries and celebrated in its own museum. Then, almost without warning, the rooftops opened towards Pienza, a Renaissance town rising above the Val di Orcia. Now we're flying over Pienza, a small hilltop town with one of the biggest ideas in Renaissance Italy. Until the 15th century, this place was called Siena. Then Pope Pius II, who was born here, decided to transform his hometown into an ideal city. In 1459, he brought in architect Bernardo Rossellino and reshaped the center around balance, symmetry, and human scale. From above, the result is surprisingly easy to see. The cathedral, the compact streets, and the warm stone rooftops all feel carefully arranged, almost like a miniature city built for a film set. And then the drone moves beyond the rooftops, and you understand why Pienza was built here. The entire Val di Orcia opens below, olive groves, cypress-lined roads, golden fields, and hills rolling all the way to the horizon. This is the Tuscany people imagined before they arrive. The strange part is that, in real life, it somehow looks even better. Every bend in the road reveals another postcard, and every viewpoint makes you stop again. Honestly, traveling through this region is less about getting from one town to another, and more about everything you discover in between. What a day! From medieval Siena to the hills of Val di Orcia. Next time, we explore Pisa, then take the train to Florence. Like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us grow and boost your travel karma. See you there!
If your flight was delayed or canceled, MySkyHelp can help you get compensation, up to €600. No stress, no upfront payments. Just fill out your flight info on our website, and our team will handle the rest. Our commission of 25 to 28% is deducted only after the airline pays you. Visit myskyhelp.com.